Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a video on a drugstore based product that I seriously cannot get enough of. So it's the L'Oreal Age Perfect 4-in-1 Tinted Balm. I'm sure many of you know, if you've seen some of my other videos, I am absolutely in love with the L'Oreal Age Perfect Serum Foundation. So when I saw this, I was instantly drawn to it. I thought it was really interesting how it comes in this little pot and it's just like a little cream pod of makeup. And when I mentioned this in a previous video, a lot of you requested that I show this side by side with the other one from L'Oreal, which I really like, which is the True Match Nude Skin Tint Serum. So I will be showing these side by side so you can get a feel for what they look like, the differences in them, and I'll also show you how I like to apply this foundation as well, kind of show you my routine, walk you through it, the best way to get the best result from this product specifically. I wear the Age Perfect foundation in the shade Medium 10. I find this to be a pretty spot-on match for my skin tone, and I really like the formula of this. I have never used anything like this. It's almost like a whipped balm, but it's not moussey, so don't think like Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse. This is not similar to that at all, but it has this unique, almost like moussey formula, but the product is solidified in this tub, and then when it hits the warmth of your hands or touches the skin on your face, it's almost like it turns into water. It feels very watery, very fluid on the skin. In fact, if you've ever used this product from L'Oreal, the Paradise Skin Water Infused Tinted Moisturizer, it reminds me kind of how this one, like as you start blending it in, it just gets so fluid and watery as you're blending it on the skin. It's a really nice, almost like refreshing feeling on the skin. That is what this one has. So it's really unique in that aspect. It kind of feels cooling on the skin. It's just this really nice, fresh feeling. The coverage on this product is anywhere from sheer to light coverage. You can, build it up and get some more coverage if you wish, but I definitely don't think it's gonna fit the bill for people who like, a really full coverage, flawless look. So if you like that, probably not gonna be your first pick. The other thing that I seriously love about this product is it feels so feather lightweight. I really don't even feel like I have anything on my skin, so I kind of forget that I'm wearing it, which I really like. When I set it down with powder, I get a full day's wear. I don't have any gripe with the longevity of this product when used with a proper setting powder or a proper setting mist, and also primed accordingly, but I'll touch on all of that in the application shots. So really quickly, just to touch on this versus the skin tint, the L'Oreal Age Perfect Tinted Balm has a dewy finish on the skin without having noticeable pearl or luminosity to the product, whereas the True Match Nude on my skin sets down a little bit more of a noticeable kind of like satin finish, but you can see through the bottle there is a noticeable amount of strobe in this product. So perhaps if that's more kind of what you're leaning towards and you don't really want that like true juicy dewy finish, you'd probably prefer this one. In terms of coverage, I do think the skin tint particularly can be built up to a lot more coverage versus the tinted balm, but the skin tint also still has the ability to be really sheared out and blended to where it's practically undetectable on the skin. So it really is still kind of like that no makeup look. It's just I know you wanted me to compare the two, but I do feel like they're really different in terms of formula, and I think it's really gonna come down to personal preference. There's not necessarily one that I prefer over the other. I really enjoy both of these, but like right now, I would definitely say that the Tinted Balm is like my favorite base product I've tried in a long time. I was just completely blown away by it, and I really like this. So hopefully by watching this and kind of seeing them side by side and the application, you can decide what you prefer. Here is the True Match Skin Tint, the Hyaluronic Skin Tint, and then on this side we have the True Match Tint Balm. So in terms of primer, I actually do have kind of a hot take on primer, but we need lip balm first. I'm using the Lano Lips primer, chapstick, lip balm. Okay, when it comes to priming for this foundation, and honestly for this one at that matter as well, I do feel like you're better off using something that's a little bit more grippy or more serum-like, something that's actually going to kind of be more absorbed into the skin. So some of my favorites I've been using have been the e.l.f. Jelly Pop, the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer, the YSL Balm Primer, because these are going to get more so like absorbed into the skin and really perfect the canvas for the makeup to go on top of it, versus I have a pretty hot take on if you're using something that's smoothing. I find that these smoothing primers that are kind of more silicone or dimethicone feeling on the skin, they almost inhibit the foundation from setting, especially things like tinted moisturizers or skin tints, things like that. I think you can use this in targeted areas, so really small spots on the face where you absolutely need it, but for the large planes of the face, I think you will find that this actually does make the foundation move around a little bit more. Again, inhibits the set down of the actual foundation, so you'll find it's a little bit more slippy and slidey throughout the day. So I think you can skip out on these mattifying and smoothing primers because we will set with powder at the end. So I just personally feel like definitely try using something that's a little bit more grip-like on the skin. Okay, so I've got you zoomed in. Skin is nice and primed. So the foundation brush I really like are using anything kind of shaped like this. This is an e.l.f. Complexion Duo brush. It's one of my favorite foundation brushes, but you also saw I used this one in the demo. So anything shaped like this is what I like to use. Or you can use a sponge. You can apply it with your hands and then blend it in with a sponge if you wish, but I just find brushes to be easier. So I just lightly kind of tap, tap, tap. You'll pick up a little bit of product, and then all I do is just lightly stipple it, starting off where I need the most coverage, and then start blending it in. Upon the blending, you'll see it just looks so good. Like really flawless, really natural. It just mimics your skin. It looks so skin-like. I think it's absolutely exceptional. It's really a special foundation. So I'm just going to, and I'll just like lightly dot it everywhere. I'm doing a, buffing motion, and look at how it just hid that redness. Obviously you can still see the texture of that blemish, but it just instantaneously disguised it. It's really kind of a no fuss, no muss application in terms of the product itself. It's a really easy application. It's very intuitive. You don't have to, do any type of special blending techniques. You're really just buffing it into the skin with your brush and blending it until you don't see any brush strokes. So there's one nice light layer. Honestly looks much like a skin tint. And then you can just pat it on the skin with the fingers wherever you really want some of that extra coverage. Just give it a little stipple, and then a light buff. And I'm not using a lot of pressure when I do this second blend because I want the coverage to really stay there. So I have my hand further back on my brush. I'm, if you can see it from this angle, I'm using less pressure. I'm not pushing into the skin as much because I'm not really trying to, work the product in. I'm more so just want to really keep it where I've placed it. So holding further back on that brush and just lightly grazing the skin just to give it a good blend. All right, so here we have a full face of the product. I think it looks really nice. It's just that really dewy, youthful, moisturized skin-like effect. So you can tell it's definitely got a lot of natural shine to it. We don't have any illuminator on or anything, and it just reflects back light off of all of those high points, and it just looks like, perfected skin with a moisturizer on top. I'm gonna conceal a bit, so I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away liquid concealer, and I really like to just apply this right under the eyes for some brightness, and then around the corners of the nose for redness. Now that I have the concealer all blended out, I feel like you really get to see how beautiful this foundation is, especially with just the under eye brightened up a little bit. It, brings the face together. And the foundation doesn't have any, visible pearl or a luminous finish. It just looks so good. Like, I'm looking in the viewfinder and I really think this foundation is such a treat. It's really beautiful. You can really see how it gives you that glowy, natural, juicy, plump looking skin. Like, it's a very youthful finish on the skin without being pearlized and having a noticeable shimmer to it. Whereas this one, the L'Oreal True Match Nude, I love this one, but you can see even in the bottle, you can see that pearl and that luminous pigment throughout the product itself. So that's what really reflects back the light. Whereas with the Age Perfect Tinted Balm, it's just the way the product sets down. It has that gorgeous, like, juicy finish on the skin. It's absolutely beautiful. Now I'll show you how powder products apply on top of it. I'm just gonna start off with a little bit of bronzer. This one's from Physicians Formula. You would think that with a little bit more of this like shiny set, that like shinier set down, that the powders would go on blotchy, but they don't. They still apply really nicely. I never have any issues with this clinging, but I do like to use more of like a tapping motion when I'm applying it. You won't have any issues with powder products like bronzer and blush clinging, but just to, you know, give yourself the best blend as possible, use this tapping motion when you start applying your powders. Don't go right in and start swiping. That's with any product, but especially with this one, we don't want to do a lot of swiping motions because you can still move the product around at this point. I'm going to do a touch of blush and highlight. So for blush, I'm going to use She's So LA from Patrick Ta. Again, I just want to emphasize, when I'm applying the products, you really don't need to push hard onto the skin. You can see my bristles, they're just lightly grazing the skin and just lightly applying the products on top. As long as you use a light amount of pressure, you still get that color deposit, but you're not moving the product around. You're not getting blotchiness. You still get a really nice even blend. Bronze Goddess from Estee Lauder. Just on the high points. And again, just lightly grazing that skin. Don't use a ton of pressure. Now with this foundation, because it does have that glowy finish, you're only going to want to put the highlighter where you want a visible strobe. So you already have this really nice, you know, luminous glisten on the skin. You can see a lot of it on the forehead. I really like that. I like how the skin is reflecting back light. So only where you want like that extra emphasis and that extra lift on the skin with this foundation, you only need to worry about putting the highlighter where you want it. And if honestly, if you don't want like some extra lift, you don't really care about the glisten on the cheekbone or the tip of the nose, Cupid's bow, etc. So I want to teach you how to set this down and help prevent the makeup from breaking down quicker or migrating around the face. By far the best types of powders I found to set this down with are pressed powders. My personal favorite is actually the one from Kosas. I just think that this gives you a gentle bit of blurring, a little bit of light reflection, and it doesn't change the finish of the foundation too much. I also really like the CoverGirl Clean Fresh one. This is a nice one. Revlon's photo blurring is also really nice. Today I'm going to use the Kosas one because, like I said, it's my favorite with this foundation. I wear the shade Cushiony. I just want to pick it up on a loose brush. You know what? I don't even know what the name of this brush is, so we won't use that because then I can't reference it to you. So I'm going to use, you can see though, the shape of this one. It's really similar to this one. I don't know what, this has no branding on it, but I like these types of shaped brushes for powdering. Just gonna pick up the product, and again, I cannot emphasize this enough, wherever you're more prone to makeup breaking down, that's really the only place you need powder. You don't need to be putting it all over the entire face, and when you're applying it, we are doing the pat motion. So lightly tapping, but you can see I powdered the entire forehead. It's barely more mattified. There is still that noticeable light reflection on the forehead. When you're applying powder, you are so much better off running out of the powder on your brush than going in with too much powder. It is really hard to take away powder off of the skin. When you've over powdered, it's much easier to slowly add more and more powder. You might even find out that you like a little bit less because it tends to look a little bit more natural. And I'm just setting any area of the face where I don't have powder. So I already have, you know, bronzer and blush on the cheeks, so I don't need to powder there. I'm just powdering on the wet product. And so now that I've gotten the rest of my makeup done, I did want to touch on setting sprays. I think you don't need a setting spray to increase the longevity. I find I still get a full like 7 to 8, sometimes 9 hours of wear with this foundation, even if I don't use a setting spray. But if you do use a setting spray, you can obviously increase the longevity and get it to last longer. I think it's also really important to note that anything that's overly dewy or emphasized on creating, you know, more shine on the skin is going to negate the longevity that the foundation has. It's not really going to do anything except make the foundation wear for less time. So I would definitely recommend the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I think that's absolutely phenomenal. It really makes my makeup last so much longer. But just for the sake of keeping, you know, a nice affordable option as well, Revolution Super Fix. I've recommended this countless times as well. I think this is a really great setting spray. This says this has an ultra matte finish. I disagree. I don't think that it makes your makeup set down any more matte or any more dewy. I think it just keeps the finish of the foundation intact. So I'll show you what this looks like after we do a spray. Just block my eyes. I can't spray with my left hand. And you'll see even once this setting spray sets down, it's not gonna dry down matte. It looked really wet, obviously, initially when you spray it on, and then once it sets down, it looks exactly the same. So I don't think you need to be afraid of it saying it's going to mattify the skin, because it really just keeps everything fully intact. I still have like some natural shine on the apples of my cheeks where I don't have any shimmery product. My forehead is still reflecting back a good amount of light. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way that that turned out. I really hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any questions regarding either of these L'Oreal products, you can leave them in the comments down below and I'll get back to you. I will have everything linked and listed in the description box as well for you. And if there are any other, you know, new foundation launches or other types of routines that you really want to see, you can leave it in the comments down below as well. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can come follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. And that's everything I wanted to say. So I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching this one. Bye everyone.